Thank you so much, Dr. Fotiou, for being with us today. How do you see the future of food systems transformation? And why are national pathways and coordination even more important now?
So I see the future of the food system transformations as something that it can really be the big solution to our climate, biodiversity, and other planetary crises we have. Because food is something that people relate directly. And I do understand that maybe the concept of food systems is not very familiar with a lot of people, but I think the summit has really put the kind of a big mark and made the food systems a very central theme in the international global development agendas. The food systems and the way they operate today are part of the problem, but they can become part of the solution. Now, why the pathways are important? The pathways are important because it's a commitment of country to work on this new way of thinking, which is around systems and not only around sectors. So when we talk about food systems, it's not only about agricultural production, but it's also about the packaging, the distribution, the impact on the environment, the impact on health.
Is there an example of collaboration to bring about this change in your view?
I think we need to look at three different levels. One is at the country level. So we have countries that they have created national dialogues, they have created pathways, and now they follow up. Then at the global level, whereas the hub also needs to do some coordination, I think what we try to do in the hub is to bring together coalitions and countries and stakeholders and science and create a library of solutions for food system transformations. Many countries, they say now that we need to adapt our pathways because of the current crisis. And they do understand that they need to face sometimes the food security crisis they have and make them an internal part of the pathways. So I think that it adds one more level of complexity to many countries. We always be responsive, and I think we want to go beyond response and go to preparedness and make resilience an integral part of the food system transformation pathways. And I think we can do this by start costing resilience and by start looking not only on the monetary aspect of how a development plan or how an infrastructure plan is going to give us specific costs and benefits, but how even intangible values that they are related with resilience, which is community building, which is the peer learning, which is the need for social and environmental infrastructure, could be part of our development plans. I think the entire success will be to shift investment and financing planning towards something that is resilient, thinking of food systems. So we need to forget this approach that we have a cost-benefit analysis taking what's the inflows, what are the outflows, and we decide if a project or investment is good or bad.
What would you like small-scale farmers and the younger generation to know? What do you think should give them hope for tomorrow?
I think the young scale farmers need to know that actually the basis of the agricultural activity. So agriculture at an end, especially when it comes to the packaging and distribution of food, may be a big business thing, but when it comes to the production of food, is always the small holders that they define the game. I think that they need to understand their role on this chain, on this value chain, and even sometimes even to demand more. Because without them, we don't have a food system. I think that we need to pass away from a culture of consumption to a culture of creation. And I think I'm very hopeful that the youth today is much more into the creation thing than the consumption thing.
And lastly, what would you like the donor community to get out of the annual General Assembly going on right now, held by the Global Donor Platform for Rural Development?
So I would like the donor community to find and respect the prioritizations that the countries already have. So something that's happening many times with development organizations, donors, is that they say, okay, let's find out the priorities. We don't need new prioritization. We know the long-term goals, and the long-term goals are the Sustainable Development Goals, and we know how to achieve them in the agri-food sector. We have the food system pathways. The second is that it really needs a shift of mentality to go from supporting agricultural development to supporting food systems. And we will need with the donors to agree on what is support for a food systems approach. What it means that I'm putting my money behind an approach that is supporting food systems vis-a-vis I'm putting my money behind a classic agricultural development project. And the third thing will be to look at to look carefully at the different time planning. So we do need some very urgent money, and the hub needs to support, for example, some countries to keep the momentum for food systems, because with the Food System Summit, we put countries in a process and they delivered. And they were given, if you want, they were created expectations during the summit. And now the donor community needs to support these expectations.